Hey everybody, Brian here with So Wizard, and I am pumped because we get to make a video about Daredevil, and I love Daredevil, and I cannot wait for Born Again next week. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are, in my opinion, as iconic in their respective roles as Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans were. I could say Netflix Daredevil is probably my favorite show of all time. I watch the three core seasons probably yearly. Occasionally I'll throw the Defenders in, but not often because I think it's kind of garbage. If you can't tell behind me, above my Mando helmet is a Daredevil cowl I had made, signed by all the main cast over the three seasons. I just really, really love Daredevil. I and my wife have been in a 2-week hardcore binge of the shows, getting ready for next week's 2-episode premiere. And we're going to talk about it. Before we can get to the good, we got to get to the 2003 movie with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. But the mild saving grace for you guys is that it's the director's cut. Yes, there is a director's cut of the 2003 Daredevil movie. And even more shocking, it is actually a vast improvement over the theatrical release. Directed by Mark Steven Johnson, who would later go on to direct the 2007 Ghost Rider flick with Nicolas Cage, although that also has a director's cut, but nothing can really save that slog. The movie stars Ben Affleck and Colin Farrell, two incredible actors who thankfully didn't get blacklisted from comic book movies altogether and were saved by Batman, and Jennifer Garner, who got redemption for her character last summer in Deadpool and Wolverine. The movie, clearly inspired by the Frank Miller run of the comics, the flick follows Ben as Matt Murdock, a blind lawyer by day and a badass motorcycle suit-wearing vigilante at night, as he works both sides of his life to take down Kingpin, played by the incredible Michael Clark Duncan. We know the movie theatrically wasn't great, but the director's cut fleshes out some more sides of Matt's life, most notably Matt and Foggy, now played by Jon Favreau, who is in his second early comic book movie appearance. He's also in Batman Forever. Dude must have been taking notes on what he'd need to do to make Iron Man epic in 5 years. Defending Coolio. Yes, I said that correctly. The expanded plot in the director's cut is Jon Favreau and Ben Affleck defending Coolio. That is how early 2000s this movie is. All jokes aside, it's nice to see them flesh out Matt as a character instead of just using him for romance fodder with Elektra and badly choreographed fight scenes. The other huge difference that the director is infamous for in this version, when Matt and Elektra are on the roof and it's raining and he says he can see her and she wants him to stay with her, but he hears someone getting mugged and says that he has to go. Well, in the director's cut version, Matt leaves, burdened by the responsibilities he's given himself by being a vigilante. The studio saw this, and they demanded the director changed it, and the director's been very candid about it. It's actually in the commentary on the DVD. The studio note in 2002 was, Matt can't leave that scene because, and I quote, Matt leaving a Jennifer Garner soaking wet in the rain will make the audience think that he's gay. That was the time that we were living in the early 2000s. Aside from some more violent moments and an extended cameo from Kevin Smith, who also had a successful run of Daredevil with Guardian Devil, there isn't too much here to really talk about. It's an early 2000s comic book movie. It's definitely not the first two Spider-Man movies, but I'd watch it over Elektra or X-Men 3 or Blade Trinity, or even Spider-Man 3. The biggest saving grace for me is, as I watch it, Colin Farrell has been sweeping the award season this year, and rightfully so after Penguin. It makes me praise whatever entity he chooses to go to for giving him better roles to sink his teeth into. If you haven't seen the director's cut, give it a watch. The Blu-ray or DVD is like $5 on eBay, or you could rent it from Amazon, but I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5. Now then, Netflix's Daredevil. So a little fun backstory. Back in 2014, I went to New York Comic Con with some friends. I used to go every year. I haven't been since. I need to go back. Maybe Adam and Joey and all of us can go one year. Who knows? My friends all ditched me so they could go to the Walking Dead panel, or attempt to, because the line for that was wrapped around the block around the Javits Center twice over, because The Walking Dead was at its peak of hype. I asked someone that was working the convention what line was more manageable. I was tired of walking the show floor. I wanted a little bit of break, and the guy said that the Netflix Daredevil line was reasonable for panels. So I jumped in that and saw the first footage of, most notably, Black Suit Matt fighting. I think it's from episode 3. A couple scenes with Matt, Karen, and Foggy. The start of the ending montage from the pilot, and then there was the first scene with Fisk when he's in the art gallery with Vanessa looking at Rabbit in a Snowstorm. And holy shit, did that just blow my mind for what I was expecting. I was sold instantly. The brutality, the cinematography, the lighting, choreography, everything just looked incredible. And as soon as I got back to my friends, I told them they were idiots for not going to see it, and that as soon as it was coming out in March, they needed to watch it as soon as possible. And then as we were leaving, actually, anyone that attended the panel got this, which is concept art. And I have all of these over the years that they were doing the panels at New York. So March 2015, as it gets closer to dropping, everyone else is focused on Age of Ultron, and in between looking at set photos of Jeremy Renner's badass new Sokovia coat and quiver that I was going to build that year, I took the day off of work and I binged the entire first season. All 13 episodes, one day, one sitting, didn't move, just ordered food to the house. And everything about it was perfect to me. I was hooked. Every single aspect of production was perfect. The biggest one for me being Vincent D'Onofrio creating such an iconic representation of Fisk, and Charlie Cox giving us a layered, flawed Matt Murdock who couldn't balance his addiction to violence and vigilantism with the responsibilities of being an attorney and a good friend to Foggy. He just wants to make his city a better place, but at the same time, the collateral damage that comes out of that. The fact that all the episodes are sequential, so Matt getting his ass kicked the previous night directly is carried over into the next episode. I didn't even care that there wasn't even a suit until the last episode. I thought it was perfect and it was earned. And gladly everybody else did because it was so universally acclaimed. I think it got renewed for a second season like a day and a half to 2 days later, dropping a year later on St. Patrick's Day, giving us even more badassery in John Bernthal as Punisher and Elodie Young's Elektra. Young was a fine addition, but Bernthal just crushed every scene he was in, and rightfully so. He got a spinoff again, I think 2 days after the release of season 2. Personally, I think season 2 has some Iron Man 2 syndrome where it's trying to set up the Defenders, and in doing so, it kind of gets a little bit muddled. You have to set up the Hand, you have to set up Elektra as the Black Sky. There's a lot that you have to do, and it takes away from it being a Daredevil show. But at that point, they were so focused on having the Defenders be the Netflix version of Avengers, they weren't looking at quality as much as the overarching picture. However, I'd still give season 2 a solid 8 out of 10. Season 3, in my opinion, is better than season 1, and I said what I said. But taking the broad strokes of the Born Again comic run from Frank Miller, everything from Matt having his life stripped away and identity revealed by Fisk, although in the comic it is under graphically different circumstances. Introduction of Bullseye, which it looks like is going to pay off in Born Again. We got a very broken Matt Murdock following the event of Defenders, physically, psychologically, and it's all about him relearning to be Matt Murdock, as opposed to a lot of the superhero tropes are Peter Parker can't handle being Spider-Man, so he gives up being Spider-Man. Bruce Wayne can't handle being Batman, he quits being Batman in like every Christopher Nolan movie. The one thing that it actually kind of reminds me of now is The Batman, where you have Bruce addicted to being Batman in the same way that Charlie's Matt is addicted to being Daredevil. He doesn't even want to be Matt Murdock in the third season. He has to have that thrust back upon him and rebalance his life. Everything about the season, from the opening shot of him basically being crucified in the collapsing building to being birthed by the city, there's so much subtext to every shot that it can't be understated. I would easily give season 3 a 10 out of 10, and I can't wait for the fact that now Born Again is officially season 4. Vincent, Charlie, Deborah, Eldon have all said that the first season of Born Again is really a continuation of the Netflix series, which is what they needed to do. I know that they had a little bit of a growing pains issue. There was another version of the show that was filmed. The writer and actor strikes happened. Kevin Feige reviewed the footage. It wasn't working. He scrapped it. And they shot, I think, like 4 episodes worth of new footage and then worked around what was already existing. They're starting filming for season 2 tomorrow. And from there, they're going to continue to do it. It sounds like this will already get a 3rd season without much issue. They're bringing back John Bernthal. If you look at the trailers, everything seems to be going well for Daredevil. The reviews have been fantastic. I can hardly wait for it, and I'm sure I will be making a video about it so we can talk about it as soon as I get a chance to watch the entire thing. But yeah, that's the quick rundown of Daredevil if anyone needed to know what was going on before we got into Born Again. What are your thoughts on Daredevil, Ben Affleck or Charlie Cox? What are you looking forward to in Born Again? Anything that you have, leave in the comments, and I will talk to you guys next time.